Okay, welcome everybody. I know we probably won't have everybody tonight since I changed the nights on you, even after I said I wasn't going to last week, but circumstances dictated. So welcome those of you that can join tonight, and those of you watching the recording. It's always available on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Guy McDonald. And on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group. So if you're a Facebooker, you can always watch the recording. But welcome to the 193rd edition of Speaking of Zane. We started on August the 5th of 2018. Wow, think about that. August the 5th, coming up on 4 years. Crazy. And we've only ever missed a couple of weeks. Been pretty consistent with it. Usually I'm able to come up with some things to talk about during the course of a week. But good to have everybody in here. Well, last night, I was fully planning on Speaking of Zane on Sunday evening like normal. And Lori, who has been away for a couple of weeks, messaged me and said, hey, our friend Kathy's in a bind. Kathy and her husband Gordon were down on a little vacation in Jamaica, and evidently to get back in the States, you've got to test negative for COVID. Even if you've had all the vaccines and boosters and whatever, you still got to test. And unfortunately, Gordon has COVID and is stuck in Jamaica. So he sent Kathy on back. And he's staying there for the week. And Kathy needed a ride from the airport because they drove their car, but Gordon's going to need it. So I told Lori, I said, well, tell her I'll come down and get her. So I drove down and picked her up at the international terminal and took her home to their place there in East Cobb. So unfortunately, I had to reschedule Speaking of Zane, but that's okay. I think it's kind of cool. We're doing it on Memorial Day. And man, got a few things to highlight on the episode today regarding Memorial Day, of course. But let me give a shout out to those who have joined the session tonight on the odd night. Daryl's there. Hey, Daryl, good to see you, buddy. Daryl has had some good posts this weekend on his efforts to remember the fallen. More about that. There's my good friend, Amy. Hey, Amy. Amy and I served together at Milton Hall and Offutt. We have some mutual friends who paid the ultimate price. Mike Kufrovich. Hey, aloha. Aloha, my friend. How are you? Good to have you in there from down in South Georgia. Lori's in there. Lori's downstairs. So Lori is home. Lori, I mentioned Lori's been gone almost 3 weeks now. We picked up a couple of bonus grandbabies. I think I mentioned it last week. We haven't been able to post pictures and stuff. We're waiting on their parents to do all of that. But we've sort of by de facto picked up two more beautiful little grandbabies. They're twins. Ezra is the boy and Maya is the girl, and they're the cutest little things. They're about 4 pounds apiece, less than the size of a roast. But anyway, so here's the connection. So our daughter, Hannah, has a little boy named Everett, who you guys have heard about and seen. Everett's 5. Well, Everett's daddy has a new wife who's also named Hannah to complicate things. Well, they have their first children, and those two children are Ezra and Maya. Well, poor Hannah these are her first children, and she needed a little help from Grammy. And so Lori went over there to stay at their house so that, because the babies were in ICU. So Lori went over there to keep an eye on Everett and to get him to back and forth to school, which freed them up to be able to visit the twins. And Lori got their nursery all set up and got the baby's clothes washed and all the stuff that she just excels at. And so she has spent the better part of 2 weeks or more, closer to 3 weeks over there at their place. She finally came home today, her and Everett, since school's out now. Everett's done with school. Lori got everything cleaned up, packed up, and they both got home this afternoon. And so she's downstairs getting things back together and everything. She's been away for a little bit now. But anyway, so we have 2 bonus grandbabies. So how could they not call us Grammy and Granddaddy if their big brother does? So that's kind of how we are picking up some bonus grandbabies. And hey, I'm cool with it. There's Steve Shirley. Hey, Steve, how you doing, buddy? Jim Miller's in there. Hey, Jimbo, good to see you. Jim had a good post this afternoon. More about that in a bit. Matt Aaron's in there. Hey, Matt, how you doing, pal? Matt has lost some friends in service to the country in his time in Iraq and Afghanistan. And but good to have everybody in there on a Monday edition, Memorial Day edition of Speaking of Zane. It's the 193rd edition. We're coming up on 200 editions, coming up on 4 years. We started 2018. Might have a few other listeners. One of my colleagues made some additional colleagues of ours aware of my weekly live stream. I don't do a lot of sharing about it, but there may be some others of my colleagues from work watching live on YouTube or maybe watching the recording. But if you are, welcome, guys. Good to have you in there. All right. Well, let's see. What do we got going on at the fabulous McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum? I just told you that the queen of the house is home. What else do we have? There's my dad. Hey, Dad. Mac Marine. Good to have you in there. Yep, Lori's piping in there on the grandkids. 12 of them in total now. Some of them bonus. I guess about half and half now. But yeah, it's hard not to love them all. That's for sure. They are absolutely our grandkids. But all right, let's see. What do we got going? There's a couple of happy birthdays in order. I try to catch the birthdays when I can. But my friend Ken Pesic down in Florida, happy birthday, pal. I know you had a birthday this past week. I don't think either one of us are going to catch up with Steve Shirley, but we can keep trying year after year. But happy birthday to you. I saw some of your escapades there, you and Janet, and appreciate you posting relevant veterans things. That's great. And also happy birthday to fellow airman Dan Jeffress. Dan's often in here. Dan's also down in the Florida area. He's close to Tampa. But Dan's often in here on Sunday evening. Dan, happy birthday to you. Good to have you in here. All right. Well, let's see. What about, I've been giving these updates on our neighbor's house that caught fire. The house is gutted right now. But there's been no movement. I've seen April and Michael come off and on during the week. I did get their lawn mowed Saturday and got the trash pulled up off the curb, stuff like that. Something they don't have to worry about. but nothing new there. I'm anxious for them to get started on it. So they say it's going to take about a year. But all right, well, let's see what else. Weight loss update. Weight loss update. I'm still at 42 pounds, but hey, I'm thrilled that I haven't gained any back. I'm still on my sticking to my regimen. I haven't deviated at all, but I'm kind of stuck on this 42. But maybe I'll get a little breakthrough this week. I've got a personal goal by June 20th when I meet my team in St. Louis. So, all right. Speaking of my team, we have a veterans employee resource group at work that's pretty active and doing different things with outreach, community efforts, and lots of things. Pretty active group of vets. We have several hundred vets at our company, 9,000 employees. We've got last count, I think 4 something or that we know about. But we do a lot of business with the military branches, so we do hire a lot of vets. I've got a lot of vets on my team. But one of the guys, Jordan, who's is a naval reservist, a senior chief. He put together a nice little video. We polled the company and said, "Hey, tell us what Memorial Day means to you." And they could either write it to us or do a little video. But he put that together in a little YouTube video. I posted that on Speaking of Zane Facebook group. It's pretty cool. Runs about 12 minutes or so. But check that out if you get a chance. Cool little video on what it means. Finding out, and it's hard to find a fellow vet that's not lost someone, especially the guys over the last 20 years. I was polling a bunch of the vets I work closest with this afternoon and say, "Hey, tell me who anyone that you're honoring today," and I'll mention them on the live stream tonight. And almost every one of them came back with somebody. It's a shame, but it's great that we have this day set aside to honor them for sure. And I'm not one of those that gets all butthurt about people saying Happy Memorial Day and watching baseball, drinking beer, smoking a cigar. Heck, I do all of that. And I'm not going to chastise somebody because they tell me Happy Veterans Day or Happy Memorial Day. There's a better way to educate people. I mean, some people just aren't educated. Think about all the school system people are growing up in nowadays. They don't teach this stuff, and they try to cut people some slack. I'm not a got some words I want to say. I'm not a one of those that says, that really makes a big deal out of it. But there's a way that you can say, "Hey, listen, don't thank me. Thank my buddy who didn't make it back, and thank me when Veterans Day gets here." There's a way to do it without being an idiot. And there's just some people out there that are, no matter what the topic is, what the subject is. But, I think people like Zane and the list of names that I'm going to read here in a little bit, boy, they'd want us to be smoking a butt on the grill. And I think they'd want us to be at the pool or at the beach. I think that's okay. If we're tipping a glass to them, and as long as I posted this thing on LinkedIn, which is like a professional social media, and I said, "Hey, listen," I put a picture of Zane's headstone, and I said, "Listen, I'm okay with celebrating this weekend." I said, "But not before I honor those that pay the ultimate price. And then I'm going to celebrate." But you know what I'm going to celebrate? I'm going to celebrate that such men and women existed. And that's the way I look at it. But anyway, off the Guy McDonald soapbox. But who else we have in there? Let's see. Okay, Koof, I'm going to add that. I'm going to add those to my list here in just a minute. I've got a list that I'm going to read, and I'll read those. So thanks for posting that. Well, I had a good Memorial Day ceremony at Georgia National Cemetery. Now, we had become accustomed to them after Zane's passing, and then for the last 2 years of COVID, there wasn't a formal ceremony, and just a terrible thing. but finally, after 2 years of not having it, they finally had a formal ceremony. And I tell you what, I was so encouraged by the turnout. There were hundreds of people there. There were scout groups there placing flags. I heard scoutmasters teaching their scouts about why they were there, and as they placed a flag at the headstone of a veteran, they said their name and thanked them. And boy, it was just so good to see education of the next generation. And but it was a really good turnout. Started at 10 o'clock. I got there about 9. They really have done a better job over the years. They've got a little shuttle service for people who can't walk over to the parade ground. They've got porta potties spread out. They got a new PA system so you can hear things. They really have improved things and stepped things up quite a bit. But you may recall on Memorial Day, I'll never forget this, Memorial Day of 2020, wasn't it, Lori? We were just a few months into this pandemic, and we found out there would be no ceremony. There would be no flag placement because of the stupid virus. We were not going to be placing flags at the headstones of our veterans. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Lori wasn't having any of it. And we cajoled to put together what became known as Operation Freedom Flag. And in about a week's time, Lori was able to orchestrate the mass accumulation, purchase and acquisition and donation of a bunch of flags, and enlisted volunteers to buck the system and show up at Georgia National Cemetery anyway and place over 3,000 flags. One person's effort. Well, Lori led that effort, and she rallied her friends, her friends, our neighbors, my coworkers. If they didn't come out, they donated money for flags. Lori found a couple flag companies that gave her a discount. It was just an amazing thing. Made the news, made the newspaper, one of the TV channels, but just shows you, what can be done when you put your mind to it. And it was amazing. But it was great. It was great this time that we're back to normal, and people were out there honoring the fallen and placing flags, and not paranoid about things. But anyway, that was an amazing effort. But so out there, I was able to. So here's something that interesting that happened. I didn't plan this, but I think it turned out to be a blessing to me and the people I'm going to tell you about. But I haven't even talked to Lori about this. I don't know if she read it on my post, but by the time I could get over from the assembly area where the ceremony was over to Section 11, which is right next door, there was people already placing flags in Section 11. Zane's on the very front row in Section 11. Second row, but front on the left side. He was one of the first 10 or 12 in Section 11. So by the time, and Lori loves to play, obviously, they say families, families place the flag first, or in the case of Wreaths Across America, they let the families place the wreaths, everything, and that's great. And anyway, Lori loves to place flag, and I love for her to do it. And but she wasn't able to make it because of the situation with the grandbabies and everything. So by the time I could get over to Section 11, there was a couple, married couple that were just a little bit older than Lori and I. But they were placing flags on that front row, and they were coming up on Zane's, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? And I said, you know what? I'm going to let them place the flag at Zane's headstone. And sure enough, here they come. they place the flag there at Zane's headstone. They say his name and everything, like they, there's a little sort of a little tradition you follow. And I asked them, hey, listen, would you guys mind if I took your picture at my son's headstone? And they're like, what? And they were like, no, really? And I said, yeah, could you just stand there and I want to take your picture. And so anyway, we struck up a conversation, and then it gave me an opportunity to tell them all about Zane. One of my favorite things to do. And I told them all about Zane, and I said, Lori normally is out here. She likes to place the flag, but I saw you all placing it, and I figured if I let you place the flag, then I could tell you all about my son. And anyway, so I told them, and their names were James and Julie from Dahlonega, Georgia. And I think they said last year, before the pandemic, they would come down every couple years, but so they hadn't been there for several. But anyway, and poor Julie was just bawling, and but I don't know. It felt good to me. I didn't care a bit about not placing his flag. It felt good for me to watch someone else place his flag, and have the opportunity to talk about Zane. And anyway, it was an incredible moment. You couldn't plan it, right? But that's the way he works things out, I think. But anyway, so when I finished there, I placed, I don't know, I probably placed 100 flags or 150 flags, 3 or 4 bundles there in Section 11. And the weather was absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful up here. But and then when I finished there, I went and paid a visit to Specialist Ryan King in Section 1. And Ryan King is the son of Gold Star mom Candace King, who I met just a week or so ago when I was out there for Carry the Load. And so I made a point of going to visit Ryan's. In fact, let me pull up, see if I've got this pulled up here. But I made a point of going and visit him. Now that I know about him, he was killed in Afghanistan in 2009, I believe. Now that I know about him and I know his wife or his mother, I'll go by and stop regularly. Well, let me share a couple things with you here. I'll show you. There they are, a darling couple there, James and Julie, and she was just so stupefied that somebody's father was there. But you can see Lori's beautiful Memorial Day bouquet is right there at Zane's headstone, red, white, and blue. But anyway, that's James and Julie from Dahlonega. And James insisted on taking a picture of me. I said, I've got hundreds of pictures of me out here. He says, no, I'd love to take a picture of you. So there I am in Section 11. And then they had a flyover. I won't play that. You can go look on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group. But there was a flyover of 3 warbirds from the Commemorative Air Force Unit down in Peachtree City. And they did about 3 or 4 passes. You can see the flags placed there. There's Zane's section. And then I made a point, Steve Shirley, if you're in here tonight, I stopped by Gary Fletcher's relatives, his father and a couple of uncles, I believe. 2 of which are right across from Zane. Dennis Winter, Jay Shaw, and then Royce Fletcher is a little ways down the road. But went and just took a quick picture for Gary and sent them to Gary. And then here's Ryan's headstone. First time I've stopped by to visit him, killed in action in Afghanistan. You see there in 2009. But you can see how beautiful it is with the flags. There's a close-up of Lori's flowers She does an amazing job. Pickup is June 1st. Flower pickup this month is June 1st. So we'll see if they leave that or pick it up. But anyway, it was a really good ceremony. Some great guest speakers. Patriot Guard riders were there with the flag line, and then the Marine Corps League was there with the gun salute, rifle salute, and the playing of taps. So it was very well attended. Just an awesome, solemn ceremony there. But let's see, what else Memorial Day related? Zane's Army mentor, Richard Mason. We just call him Sergeant Mason. He's an E8 now. He's in Sergeant Major School. Just finished Sergeant Major School, I think. But he served with Zane in Iraq, and I'll see if I can find what I'm looking for here. But he also married. He married Zane and Abby. Strangest thing. And anyway, he posted today about he's really big into fitness, and they have this thing called the Murph. It's like you run a mile, you do so many sit-ups, so many push-ups, so many blah blah blah, and you try to get it in a certain amount of time. But he had let me see if I can find. It's worth a minute here. Let me see if I can find the picture of him. But he dedicated the Murph to a number of his fallen soldiers. Here he is. Let's share this with you again. But what a great guy he is. Zane really looked up to him. He's like a big brother for Zane. While they were getting ramped up for Iraq, while they were in Iraq, and then of course he presided over their wedding. Just an incredible guy. You can see him there in his home gym. He's got Zane and Doc Jordan and others there. And you can see he's got listed all the stats and everything for the Murph challenge. So really great guy. Proud to be a friend of his. But let's see. And then how about this? So listen close to this, folks. First, let me do a little quick check in the chat here. And if you're there and you don't put something in the chat, I don't know you're there, and that's okay. But if you want me to know you're there, put something in the chat and I'll see it. But let's see. Katie's there. Hey, Katie. Katie thanked an Army Vietnam vet. Go figure. This past week, I'm going to have to add that to the list. Hang on a second. That's actually good because you had already got a place filled in for Katie. So I just add the count there. Okay. There we go. Thank you, Katie. Let's see. Facebook user in there. I'm not quite sure who that is. Just says Facebook user, a couple of them, but good to see you, whoever you are, Phantom Facebook user. For some reason, the name doesn't translate all the way into, I use a tool called StreamYard to do all of this fancy stuff, but, oh, Carl and Peggy. Okay, Carl Kihas. All right. Well, good to have you in there, Carl. All right. Well, let's see. So, what was I talking about? Oh, so listen to this. You are not going to believe this. This is, I posted this. Some of you may have seen this. I haven't revealed who this is because he hasn't revealed it. And once he does, then we'll celebrate it. But I can tell you that one of Zane's battle buddies that he served with in 369, 3rd Infantry, there at Fort Stewart, they went to Iraq together, and he has stopped by here on Speaking of Zane from time to time on the live stream. But he messaged me, I guess it was Monday or so, and he said, "Hey, guy, I just want to let you know that my girlfriend and I are expecting our first baby in July, and it's a son. And I just want to let you know we're going to name him Zane. And my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And I don't know, why am I surprised that somebody would not name their kid after Zane? With his personality and his reach, and like Lori says, I mean, what is it Lori says about making friends? They never met a person that wasn't a friend or something, but could get along with everybody, but made an impression, I guess, in his life, his 26 years. And this battle buddy of his is going to name his son Zane. Wow. Incredible. Incredible. Zane would be freaking out about it. But anyway, all right. Well, how about the hat of the week? Speaking of Zane, hat of the week, hat of the week. Hat of the week always has something to do with what the heck's going on here in the fabulous McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum. And this week it's just Zane's hat. You guys have seen me wear this hat over and over and over again. And something about it that makes me feel closer to him when I wear it. It's a hat he wore. And we're fortunate to have it, and on the occasion of Memorial Day, I love to wear it. Now, let me also do a disclaimer that I often do, because I don't want there to be any misconception. Now, Zane, we know Zane was not killed in Iraq. We're not a Gold Star, but the traditional Gold Star family. Zane was not killed in combat, but we do know that Zane's death is related to it, and ultimately he is a casualty of war, and that's our perspective. We don't want to misrepresent anything. Zane, like too many, returned from Iraq, even got out of the army, and never could get his footing. Just never could get his act together after. He probably should have never got out, honestly, and I probably would counsel him strongly against getting out, but he was set on it. What do you tell adult children? I mean, but anyway, I often like to get that. It's been a while since I've said that. I just want people to be absolutely clear about that. Zane was one of the too many that end up just spiraling out of control, and it sucks to have a front row seat to it. And whether it's drugs or alcohol or whatever the destructive behavior is, we can see the tie all the way back, and he was never the same person. And anyway, so not a casualty, not a combat casualty, but certainly a casualty of war. And there's too many. But anyway, so that's the hat of the week. Zane's hat, and I just feel closer to him when I wear it. All right. Well, I didn't pull any this week in military history items this week. I figured Memorial Day was enough to for the military history week. Although I'm a history nut, and I do like military history. So I'll have some more items for you next week. How about the Veteran Cemetery Challenge? We started this challenge for anybody that's new to speaking of Zane. We quite by accident started this Veteran Cemetery Challenge. In fact, Lori and I were not regular visitors to Veteran Cemetery before we placed our son there. But after we did, they just felt it felt like hallowed places that we just felt like we had to visit. And on one of our trips to Texas to visit Charlotte at Texas A&M, we saw a number on the way and stopped on the way there, and the rest is history. We asked you guys to come alongside us and do the same thing, and you guys certainly have. That's kind of how we got started on it, and I'll give you some of the totals here in a minute. But for this week, these are the visits I'm aware of. Daryl, I know, including his visit today on Memorial Day, made 2 visits to Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery in Missouri. And if you're not a friend of Daryl's on Facebook, you need to be. And also watch his posts on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, because he does a great job at Jefferson Barracks. Here comes my grandson, Everett. Say hi, Everett. I don't know why he's up here in his underwear. I don't know. What are you doing up here, buddy?
I don't know.
Shouldn't you be in bed?
No.
Should you be down there with Grammy?
No.
No? You want to tell everybody about your brother and sister?
No.
No? I already did. Ha, ha. What's your brother's name? Okay. All right. Well, you going to go and let me finish? Okay. All right. So, anyway, so Daryl made a couple visits. Ken made a visit. So Ken was over on the Space Coast. I think he was watching one of the supply ship launches, him and Janet. And I think they were celebrating an anniversary, Ken. Were you guys celebrating an anniversary? Anyway, Ken and Janet were over on the Space Coast, and they stopped in at Cape Canaveral National Cemetery, Cape Canaveral. And, Ken should have told me ahead of time he was going there, because I would have said, visit our buddy, Senior Master Sergeant George Wellman. George, many of us served with George at RAF Mildenhall, the consummate professional. And he, anyway, so look, Grammy says, Guy, tell Everett to come back downstairs. That's what Grammy said.
But I wanted to see you.
Okay, so Ken visited Cape Canaveral, and Daryl, Jefferson Barracks, our buddy Spud McClure out in Colorado now. Spud was a tanker pilot and then eventually a Delta captain. He made a visit out as part of his Memorial Day activities with the VFW. He was out at Lafayette Cemetery in Colorado today. That's a new one for our map. I need to add it to the map. And then my friend Steve Bartlett up in Nashville, for the second year in a row, paid a visit to Rose Lawn Memorial Gardens, which is in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And he visited specialist Corey Kowal, our friend Kelly's son, our friend Kelly that has My Warriors Place down in Ruskin, Florida. And so Steve sent me a picture and said, hey, be sure to tell Kelly I visited her boy. And then Zane, get back, or not Zane, Everett. His middle name is Zane. Everett's middle name is Zane. But so Steve, Spud, of course, I made the visit to Georgia National. Ken made the visit to Cape Canaveral. And then Jim Millard. So Jim's in here tonight. Jim made a visit to Omaha National earlier in the week. And then he made a trip to St. John Cemetery where his wife is buried. And then today he went out to Omaha National to pay his respects to our friend Todd Vanderwerken, as well as Corporal Dagan Page, who was killed in Afghanistan during the disastrous withdrawal. And anyway, Jim ended up going out there twice today. You got to read his account of it. Go to Speaking of Zane Facebook group and read Jim's account. But so Jim logged 3 visits to Omaha National Cemetery this week. So if I total everybody's visits up this week, I think we had 10 visits. 10 visits. One of them new. Thank you, Spud. And so we're sitting currently at 630 visits. Wow. To 156 different. You see how this little weasel's getting on my lap? And he thinks I don't notice? And to 156 different veteran cemeteries. So good job, everybody, for that. I know the cemetery is absolutely beautiful with the flags. It's amazing. It's as beautiful as it is with the wreaths around Christmas time. But so that was the Veteran Cemetery Challenge. Now we go on to the Thank a Vet Challenge.
What?
So let's see. Let me tell you the ones I know of. I know there's some I don't know. And I forgot to add one from Kathy Cobb. Actually, let me add one here for Kathy. She told me about last night when I picked her up at the airport. All right, touch that keyboard, okay? So that's going to take our count up by 1. And, okay, so So Kathy thanked a veteran in the airport, and I forget the details, but she told me about it. Matt thanked a Navy vet. Katie thanked the Army vet. Aunt Paula thanked a World War II vet and a Vietnam vet. Lori thanked, to get this, Lori thanked a Paulding County Sheriff's deputy at the polling place. We had our primary voting this week, and there's a position of sheriff's deputy there at the polling place. Lori gave him one of her cards, and she said he was thrilled. And Jimbo, I understand you got your cards. Actually, here's the one I sent you, Jimbo. Yep. So Jim's got some of these now. But Lori thanked him. And then let's see. Jim thanked. So Jim, I think your count was 3 airmen total in different accounts. And then I had 5 at Georgia National Cemetery, and I had 2 Air Force vets at work, 2 that I had met for the first time at work this week. So if I total everything up, I think we had 15 thank yous this week, and that makes our count 1,481. So 1,481 times a veteran, a military member, a first responder has heard, "Thank you." Nope, you can't take my hat. Go find another hat. There's some hats right over there. So pretty doggone good if you ask me on the Thank a Vet Challenge. All right. Ken says, "Hi, Everett." Okay, you chose the brightest one. All right, let's see. So that's the Cemetery Challenge, Thank a Vet Challenge. Interruption from my grandson, Everett. Now, organizations. Man, there's a lot of organizations doing a lot of great work for veterans and military members. And I usually highlight them. If I know there was something going on with them this week, I'll highlight them. But one that's coming up, Running to Honor, which is headed up by our friend Aaron Bartles up in Michigan. Hey, stop that. Aaron had all kind of Memorial Day activities going on up there, calling attention to our fallen. So Aaron, good job, buddy. And we'll be running with you in July. It's going to be hotter than the Dickens here in Atlanta, but we're going to do it. And then what a great message our friend Ralph at Simplify Bar and Grill posted about Memorial Day. And he has a missing man table set up. Okay, Everett, if you're going to sit here, you're going to have to be quiet, okay? So go look. I forwarded that to the Speaking of Zane Facebook group so you can see Ralph. And then, of course, Kelly Kowal, man, what a wonderful message she had about being a Gold Star mom and Memorial Day and her son, Corey. And I also posted that on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group as well. So Ralph and Kelly, you guys are patriots. Thank you for that. And then the folks from Carry the Load, who I reported on last week, they started on May 1st, 5 different routes. The group that I met up with at Georgia National started in Vermont, and they finished today in Dallas. 30 days they were on the road, walking and cycling and running, Carry the Load all across the country, and they had a big celebration in Dallas today, the culmination of Carry the Load. So we'll look forward to seeing them again next year.
Mom, I have clouds on my head.
Okay, well, let's see. Let me look in the chat here. I don't know if he's trying, Koof. He is stealing the show, and he's pretty doggone persistent about it. But well, let's read the names. So this afternoon, I asked you guys to post somebody that you were honoring, fallen comrade or family member that died in service of the country, and you guys posted a number of them, and I'm going to read those off. Now, I also did that with some of my coworkers, and they responded as well. I'm going to do my best to try to connect the names with the individuals. Okay, and if you're going to stay right here, you're not going to be able to do that. All right.
Why can I?
You can either go back downstairs with Grammy, or you can just stand here in your underwear, in very patriotic underwear, I might add. Stars, red, white, and blue stars. I need to get me a pair just like that. But anyway, so what I thought I would do is scroll the names of that you guys shared with me of folks that you're honoring, and this includes some of my coworkers as well. And this is what really got me thinking about, how each of us, many of us in this circle that we run in, have all experienced some kind of loss. And I know that there's a segment of our population, probably the majority of our population, that has no connection to this, and maybe therefore can't understand it. And but anyway, so I'm going to scroll the names across the bottom there of the ones that you guys reported to me, and I'll read them aloud here. Try to make the connection. Specialist Ryan King. I mentioned Ryan King, the son of Candace King. Ryan was killed in Afghanistan in 2009. Specialist Corey Kowal, son of Kelly of My Warrior's Place, killed in Afghanistan in 2010. Senior Airman Michael Burris, son of our family friend John Burris down in Fitzgerald, Georgia. Airman Burris was an EOD tech and was wounded in action on one tour and then eventually killed on another. Staff Sergeant Stephen Butcher and Specialist Daniel Cagle killed in Iraq. They were part of Zane's unit that were deployed the cycle before. They were killed by an IED. And then Specialist Stephen Alexander was wounded in that IED, I believe, and then he later passed many years later. And I've had the opportunity to visit him at Beaufort National Cemetery in Beaufort, South Carolina. A couple of Zane's battle buddies that passed after, like he did, after returning, Specialist Doc Jordan and Specialist Myers. And then here's a few of mine from the 55th OMS, the first casualty of Desert Shield, Staff Sergeant John Campisi, died in Saudi Arabia, 1990. Master Sergeant Michael Heiser, who several of us crewed with, flew with at Mildenhall, was killed in the Kobar Towers bombing in 1995, 1996, I believe. And then Lieutenant Colonel Michael Anderson, who some of us served with, and we may not have noted at the time. He was a pilot on the Looking Glass. But he was killed on the Space Shuttle Columbia incident. And then a classmate of Ken's, Lieutenant Carlos Arriaga, was one of the crew on board Yakla 27, an AWACS plane that went down. Also from Ken, Lieutenant Eric Sunmullis, Master Sergeant Dave Jacobson, Staff Sergeant George Bolin. Those were comrades of his father's on the attack in Pearl Harbor. Major Christopher Musick, Specialist Bryce Scott, who was the nephew of my friend Todd Vanderwerken, was killed in Afghanistan. Colleague of one of my co-workers, Senior Chief David McClendon. One of my other colleagues, who's a Marine, Derek, he lost Major Taj Shireen and a number of others in Afghanistan. Captain Kyle Comfort, another one of my colleagues, friends. And then, of course, Corporal Dagan Page, who Jimbo visited at Omaha National. Dagan Page was one of the 13 killed in the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan last August. And then Gunnery Sergeant Paul Bush, submitted by Carl Kihas there. That was just a few years ago. And then Kathy Cobb's great uncle, Seaman Walter Charles Hendry. Go see Brandon. And then received a couple of others from a coworker of mine who's a retired Army Chief Warrant Officer. He submitted Sergeant Rodney Robertson, Gunnery Sergeant Chris Cunningham, and Sergeant First Class Adrian Stewart. And then also on the list, submitted from my friend Mr. Kufrovich here. Let me scroll back up. Air Force Pararescueman, Master Sergeant Mike Maltz, and Senior Airman Jason Cunningham. Out of, I believe they were out of Moody Air Force Base, I believe. So that's the list that I have. Let me see what I have missed in the chat. Oh, there's Aunt Cindy. Hey, Aunt Cindy, over in Alabama. Yep, Steve's confirming the Kovar Towers, 1996. All right. Well, that's all I've got, folks. Well, hey, listen, I hope you've had a fantastic Memorial Day. Don't get all bent out of shape. We know the meaning. We know who we're honoring. Just educate people. Don't chastise them. That's the last thing we need to be doing is, I mean, we're no better than them if we're getting all butthurt and stuff on the internet. And but hey, just say, hey, did you realize that Memorial Day is for us to honor those that didn't come back. It's for us to honor those that paid the ultimate price. And well, you can thank me in November when Veterans Day comes around. And yeah, just man, be a genuine human, like my friend Amanda Duggar says. But no need to be a butthead. But hey, listen, I've enjoyed it tonight. Looking forward to a great week. I'm graduating one of my classes, bringing another on. I'm in a strange place at work right now, getting rid of 7 who are going out into the field and bringing 11 new ones in. It's kind of like I imagine it's kind of like a drill sergeant feels when he's turning over classes. But anyway, it's an interesting time right now. In fact, in my new group of people, I've got 3 veterans. So I look forward to building a relationship with them. But have a great week, everybody. If you see a veteran, you know the drill. If you see a military member, you know the drill. If you see a first responder, you know what to do. Tell them thank you. If we don't, who's gonna? And we'll look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday night for another edition. I think we're getting close to 200 of them. I think next week will be, what did I say? Okay, 190. Next week will be 194. And I am sure we will have something to talk about next week on Speaking of Zane. Look forward to seeing you guys then.